Hey, Steve Magnante here at High-Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts with another High-Octane Classics muscle car Walkaround. This is a 1974 Plymouth Duster. You might know that the Plymouth Duster was introduced in 1970 and was built through 1976. It never really benefited from the big block engines that the Darts and the earlier cars had. So these were strictly 318, 360, 340, or slant 6 powered. But on the case of this one here, it's a 74 with some upgrades made to the standard body. Now, one thing about that body is that the Duster went after the Chevy Nova, which for 1968 was redesigned as a semi-fastback, kind of emulating the Mustang. Well, the Nova sold so well that Chrysler stylists says, we want a piece of that action. So the Duster body from 1970 through 76 is a semi-fastback. We can see it right here. Not a true fastback, not a sedan, not a coupe, but that is a very graceful B-pillar and back window treatment. And it really emulates the 68 Chevy Nova, frankly, but well done. These things sold really well in 1970s, and these were a major source of profit for Chrysler Corporation. And we see on the back of this one here, the number 340. The 340 engine was available from 1970 through 73, replaced by the 360 in 1974 and 75 and 76 as the top engine. But still, the 340 is a great, small, big block, if you know what I'm saying. Light engine, small displacement, but high winding engine, plenty of power to weight ratio. Speaking of power to weight ratio, the thing about the Duster, it weighs about 3,400 pounds, fully dressed, ready to rock. And these are a great power to weight package for high performance use, whether road racing or drag racing. Let's look under the hood. And speaking of that hood, the matte black treatment on this is something that the rebuilder of this car decided would be a good touch. It kind of plays into the idea of the 446-back cars from 1969 and a half, matte black. The scoop here is something that was available on the Demon and the Duster, but it's not a factory item. It's something you can actually add on very quickly and easily. But something cool about this hood is a 340 wedge graphic. You might wonder, what does that mean? Well, 340 cubic inches wedge refers to the combustion chamber design as opposed to the Hemi, which was Chrysler's other big dog engine, the Hemi and the wedge, so 340 wedge. And on a diagonal play, I think the Cars, there was an album cover by the Cars, I think Heartbreak City or something like that, with a 340 wedge picture on the cover. Very cool stuff. Cars actually illustrated and immortalized this hood graphic right here. So let's open that hood and see what we have under here. Let me guess, it's a 340, right? Here we go. Okay, classic small block Mopar, iron heads, aluminum intake, and Edelbrock dual plane, kind of cool RPM air gap. A small Edelbrock 4-barrel, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a fine carburetor for general performance use. The cast iron exhaust manifolds are worthy of note. They're good, they're high-flowing pieces, but the weird thing is, on the driver's side, the manifold looks like it's from a different car. Well, it has a high upsweep design to clear the steering box right here. It doesn't really hurt flow that much, but it looks kind of awkward. A lot of people think, what's wrong with that engine? Manifolds aren't, symmetrical. Well, that's the way they were on the 340 and the 318 and the 360 cars. This one is a lightly modified car, again, electronic distributor conversion, manual disc brakes up front. That's okay with me. The power booster might got in the way of the valve cover, so less can be more in the world of a Plymouth Duster. Now, what engine did this car originally come with? For that, we have to go here. E44 from trim tag, 318 2-barrel, which is backed up by the VIN, which has a G in the 5th spot. To be a 340 or a 360 car, we'd have to see, I believe, an H or a P, depending on what year you're talking about. But again, pretty cool little car, a fun car to drive around and enjoy. Now, speaking of enjoying, 4-speed transmissions bring these things to life. Let's look inside. In my opinion, few things make a performance car like a 4-speed manual transmission. Now, this would have been a 3-speed manual or an automatic torque flight from the factory, but this is a 4-speed with a pistol grip shifter right here, a classic piece. Not a factory installed item, but it fits right in, and it looks fantastic. Has the tough wheel here, some gauges here, add-on, a little tachometer, volts, water and oil pressure gauges under the dash to keep track of the vital fluids and statistics. High back bucket seats, no console, and that's fine with me. The center console is an aftermarket piece. You can put your soda pop in here and enjoy this car while going down the road. Very cool. Like all Dusters built between 1970 and 1976, these are strictly 2-doors. There were no 4-doors, no station wagons, no convertibles. They were all semi-fastbacks like this here. And again, the 2-door body style is the sleekest one. But the great thing about these is they're fantastic for family use. Why do I say that? Well, the trunks on these are massive, almost the size of a Plymouth Roadrunner or Fury. There's a ton of room in there. All kinds of room for groceries, for all kinds of stuff, cordwood, whatever you want to store in there, some gold bars, whatever you want to throw in there, you can do that. Lots of room. And one of the ingenious things about the Duster, like all A-bodies, is the fact that the spare tire well is here underneath the floor. And you can actually fill this thing with soda cans and ice in the summertime and have yourself a little mobile cooler. And again, it's a great use of space instead of most cars, which would have had a spare tire located on top of that surface right there, getting in your way for your groceries. And that's a great design right there. And on these, of course, the rear axle is would have been a 7 1/4 or an 8 1/4 Salisbury type axle. This is an 8 3/4 upgrade somebody added to this car, which is good because with that 4-speed and that small block, the stock 8 1/4 or 7 1/4 wouldn't last very long. But this 8 3/4 is bulletproof. They use these things in road runners and Hemi cars, and it fits perfectly in here. Speaking of fit, these have the big bolt wheels, 15 by 7s in the back, and you got to remember that the A body had a 5 on 4-inch bolt pattern, which is kind of a confuser for a lot of people who have those cars, slant 6s and stuff, and earlier ones have a small bolt pattern. But these have been upgraded with the 5 on 4.5, which is the same size used on a Roadrunner or Charger, GTX, or whatever you want to put them on. But a great looking car all the way around. Disc brakes up front, drums in the back, which is fine, nothing wrong with that, and a lightweight 340 up front, and a power to weight ratio, of a 383 Roadrunner. A lot of fun to drive with that 4-speed transmission.